remember where it is. Under the Jordans.
Under the Jordans, that's where you keep it.
To 105. Next, we're going to be installing the piston into the cylinder. Need a little lube. Got a little bit of braking oil. Don't have to go crazy. But enough to get everything lubed up. So what I like to do is grab the openings of the rings and give everything as much coverage as you can. Make sure oil's getting in all of the grooves. And we're gonna take some and lube up the skirt. All right, so our rings are lubed up. So when I go to install these, like I said before, I like to pivot, imagining that this is in the engine. This is the top of the engine. You want the second ring, you know, not 3 o'clock, but just above it, or not 9 o'clock, a little above it, about 10, and then only spinning the top ring down to about 3 and up a little bit, 2. That way they're opposing each other, but they're still above about halfway. So then this is ready to be installed. With our ring installer, typically on an engine when you're installing the piston into the cylinder, you want the bottom facing down. But seeing as we're installing this backwards, you want the bottom facing up, because this is going to go on like this. We're gonna scooch this down just above the top ring so you can squeeze it like so. So just enough to get a good squeeze. Got our nice clean dried cylinders. You can do just a drop of oil inside. A little more than a drop. That's gonna get spread around. Wipe off the excess. We don't need quite that much in there, but just enough to coat the cylinder. And then take the cylinder. We get enough squeeze tension to compress the ring all the way, and then we're going to apply pressure and slightly release the pressure on the tool so you can push down. I think we got it. Remove. Didn't quite get the oil ring in there, but we can flip it. We got this side and most of this side. Be very careful, and you can push in. And this is where you don't want to get ahead of yourself and break a ring, but you can here we're trying not to scratch anything, but you can help this ring. Just make sure it's not stuck. Apply a little pressure. There we go. And there we have it. So these cylinders have reliefs here, and that leaves you room enough to get your wrist pin in and out still. So when we go to install this as one assembly, we can install the wrist pin on the rod, install the circlips, install the cylinder, and repeat the process.
Time lapse. time.
Time lapse time. Oh, see, I'm gonna stop. I saw this ring pop out. So we have to start over. Not a big deal, but if you were to continue and try to slam that down, you'd end up in big trouble or broken rings, and you just don't want that. I think I can help. I missed that one again. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
As Tim would say,
Sometimes you're the chicken and sometimes you're the egg. Today I'm the egg.
Take 3. I got it that time. All right, so if you saw in the beginning of, or a little earlier in the video, we were trying to take this piston on and off with the wrist pin on the rod.
Use a little heat here.
A little bit of heat.
And you notice I was struggling a little bit, having to heat up the piston. I thought that was a little odd, and it was. The rest of them go in and out by hand. That's how nice it should be. So we're gonna show a nice little demonstration on how to make this happen, even with one that's not so good. So we have a expandable reamer here, and we're gonna install this and just slightly drag it through the holes just to make sure that there's no high spots or anything causing that issue. And we don't see any really visually, but there could be just a small burr or something that's preventing the wrist pin from going in there smoothly. And that one starts, but it just not quite by hand. So we're going to tighten this up. So you get it installed. Tighten this one up. So this is tapered, and as you tighten this down, it pushes the blades up and expands them. So we can actually get this just starting to drag. In fact, right about there, I can kind of turn it by hand, but it stops. It's just catching one little spot there. So I'm gonna pull it out. And so right now we're turning by hand, and there's still a little play in there, so tighten up a little bit more. And we're not looking to remove a bunch of material here. We're just looking to take off, hopefully, that high spot. So we still haven't really changed anything, but pin's still tight. A little more. Until now, I can't, or I'm just barely able to do it by hand. So just kind of keep going back and forth. A little more. We're just looking for a little spinning motion as we're going in and out. You can kind of feel where it's tight. Right on the edge there, let's see what we got. So, so close. You can tell there's just one little burr on there, and that's all we're trying to get rid of. It'll go about 75% of the way through. There we go. Now we have a pin that slides through without problem. We'll clean this up. Get ready for install. So what number shall we do first? Number 4?
Sure.
Okay, number 4. Our assembled pin, piston cylinder combo. We are going to install one clip before it goes on the engine and one clip once it's installed. So we actually have our fancy dancy circlip installer. This is one of my favorite tools. Looks like a little slug in a sleeve. Muscle that guy in there. And then, so I'm going to install the second clip on this side. So I'm going to install this clip here. Use the pin as kind of a backstop. And just like that. But you can see it's not quite installed all the way. Sometimes it gets it in the groove, sometimes you gotta help it. So we're just gonna pop it in. You got a nice click. We're installed both ends. There's one pin. Or one clip, sorry. Then, a little assembly lube on the wrist pin itself. Get it on your hands too, that's okay. I'm going to preload the second clip. Next, take our, forgot something important. Our base gaskets. We just want to make sure there's no oil or assembly lube on the sealing surface here. Nice, clean, dry. Install our base gasket. Line our grooves there. And now, we'll bring it on over. Now here's where it becomes a little tricky. You want to make sure you're guiding the base gasket past the threads while bringing your rod up. And this is the fun part, is getting the pin and the rod aligned. There we go. So now the pin's all the way in. It's up against the other circlip. We'll get a little bit of this assembly lube out of here so it doesn't end up where it shouldn't be. And we have our preloaded circlip in our tool. Get this installed. Just like that. And we just want to make sure that our circlip's seated all the way around. Get a good visual on it. Looks good. And you can always push the wrist pin back and forth. You can guide the cylinder down nice and even. And right before you get all the way down, it's important to just come underneath and check and make sure that there's no oil no assembly lube or oil that's come from the bottom side on the base of the cylinder there. And then you can actually draw everything down together by rotating by hand. It'll pull it down. Now once your cylinder is inside the crankcase, drive it on home. Good wiggle back and forth. install a temporary hold down. There you go. There's one. It's always a good idea to make sure that the piston goes up and down freely. But on to the next one. And I like to start with the left one. I'm right-handed, and I always install that second clip with my right hand. You can go any which way you want, but it just works for me. If you're left-handed, I would suggest starting here and click your way forward. So on the other side, I'll do the same. I'll actually start with cylinder 3 and work my way this way. So we can then turn the engine over by hand and get the next cylinder number 5, up to roughly TDC. We can remove our rubber band and repeat the process. I love this little circlip installer. So every time you're going to rotate it over, you're going to get some of that assembly oil that pushes out, but that's okay. There you have bank 2 assembled, ready to go. So like I said here, I'm going to start with cylinder 3 on the back and work my way forward.
Good catch.
Good catch.
On camera.
See?
Points.
Proof. I spend more time getting the screwdriver out of my pocket
Well, that wasn't
than
on camera.
anything.
We can't prove that.
Can't prove it.
Can't prove it.
Didn't happen. Ah, see? Almost did it. Almost did it. How many people on camera would have caught that one?
Oh, I'm surely someone. The comment section's always right.
We should do that on purpose once and see who catches it. Be like Easter eggs in the video.
I like that.
It just shows there's so many small steps in this process that one minor oversight can lead to a catastrophe. So when you do it right, it makes you feel good. Having everything laid out, once if I would have forgotten that one, I'd have had one of these laying out extra on the bench. So there is good reason to keep track of all your parts as you go along. I've got 4 circlips left, 2 base gaskets, and 2 pistons and cylinder combos. We're doing good. There she goes. Okay, last paint clip. So satisfying. Hang the gears in the chain trick.
What trick?
Hang the gears in the chain trick.
So
Just a-
gears or a trick for that?
No, it's just so it keeps the chains out of the gear as it's spinning inside. So then you can turn it over still slowly, but otherwise there's nothing keeping tension on the chains. So doing that just helps keep some weight on them, just so you can turn everything over. And there we go. Bank 1, bank 2 complete. Everything feels nice and smooth on rotation. There you have it.
That's one of Tim's favorite words. Did you know that?
Garbage?
Garbage.
Garbage.
I've edited him now, and I've listened to him for hours. Oh, this is garbage.
Hot garbage.
Oh man, this tool, this is garbage.
Garbage.
Throttle pressure thinks garbage. Snap-on borescopes, I think they're garbage. These things are garbage. Garbage.
Oh, okay.
God, these circlips are stiff. Look at